Oftentimes, we feel very controlled by our thoughts, and we take on the identity that the thought is trying to impose on us. For example, if you're having a fearful thought, you are unconsciously in the identity of being scared, like the fearful one. Or if it's an anxious thought, you are in the identity of being an anxious person. If you are thinking about, how am I going to make it this month? How am I going to pay the bills? You are unconsciously in the identity of one that is lacking, one that is financially not abundant, so on and so forth. So oftentimes we feel so suppressed by these thoughts and being in control, these thoughts being in control of us, right? And the reason for that is not knowing what you truly are, not knowing what your true position is. And that's what I want to kind of share with you in this video, how to be free of whatever your thoughts may be imposing on you. And ultimately, actually, also just being free of thoughts entirely and engaging with the mind only if you choose, rather than that just being your experience, just constant thoughts. Because if that's the case, you're identified with your mind. You are not in control of your mind is in control of you. And if your mind is in control of you, then what do you think is controlling your life, you or your mind? And it's primarily the reason why you may continue to find yourself again and again in a situation or circumstance where you look at life and you're like, why isn't life the way that I want it to be? It's because you are not in control. Your mind is. So let's discuss about how to actually get in control of mind and how to not allow it to impose certain realities on you. Okay? You are not the mind. You are not the body. Everybody on the spiritual journey says this all the time. What mind really is, right, you can say is just your thoughts. There's no separate entity in your head called mind that is thinking thoughts. Mind is thoughts. You can say emotions are also just mind, okay? So if you're not your mind, you're none of these thoughts, and you say this all the time. And if you're not your body, and you say this all the time, then what exactly are you? Right? That is the basis of self-inquiry, to investigate, who am I? Who is this me that is always in my experience, which experiences thought or the lack of thought, which experiences all these different versions of this body? Who is this me that seems to be constant in this experience? This me, if we're really to conceptualize what it is, and I don't want you to just stop at this answer, right? I'm going to say it, but I don't want you to just stop at this answer and be like, okay, yes, I am awareness. I actually want, after this video, I want you to go practice exactly what I will teach you in this video. And I want you to experience this for yourself, because until you actually have that as your experience, this teaching has no meaning. And it will not benefit you in any way whatsoever. In fact, it itself will just become another concept which will actually cloud the truth from you. Okay? So if you're not the thoughts, if you're not the body, if you're not any of these sensations or perceptions, you are the awareness of them, right? So what is this? What is this you? You are the observer, but what is this observer? In a very general way, if we were to put it in a model, you are the awareness of what is happening. No matter what it is in this current experience, maybe thoughts, maybe activity, or whatever you're aware of, whatever the contents of this moment are, you are the awareness of that rather than any of the contents. Okay, including your thoughts. Okay, so it is not even the body that is thinking thoughts. And this is where I want you to have this key aha moment. It's not even the body that has thoughts. All it really is you, which is awareness, and mind, which is all of these thoughts coming and going. And obviously the further extension of that is the world, which is everything that is perceived to be so solid and real, which is just an externalization of that same very mind. These are the three layers. So this person is not thinking thoughts. This body is not thinking thoughts. Thoughts are happening, and you are aware of them. You not being the body, you as awareness. Stay with me here. Rewind the video if you have to. You are awareness, and thoughts are coming and going. Thoughts are being experienced to be there or not be there. And here's the place where you go wrong, and what we're conditioned to actually believe and live out as real, as our experience. Because this awareness, this consciousness, falsely identifies with the body and the thoughts. It has this experience that I am this body and mind. And that is the way we live, right? When we say, I am doing this, I want that, I don't want this, what you're referring to in your experience is just this person, this mind and body. But what is actually going on is just you awareness, thoughts coming and going, and further extension, which is the world. The place where the incorrect identification happens is consciousness identifying with I am these thoughts and this body. And what happens when this identification is formed is you begin to engage in thoughts with interest. With interest, okay? That's a key word right there, with interest. Awareness, what you actually are, is simply just awareness of whatever it is. But when you falsely identify with the thoughts, when you fall into identification with the thoughts, there's interest, there is aversion, there's resistance, there's all that. So definitely going deep in this video, okay? Now, every thought that you engage with, you as an awareness, again, not the body, not the mind, not this person you believe yourself to be, because that itself is just another thought construct. When you engage with mind, with thoughts, there seems to be a thinker. There seems to be a thinker that is thinking those thoughts. And that is what I said in the beginning of the video, where now if the thought is fearful, now there is a fearful thinker that is thinking those thoughts. Or there is an anxious thinker that is thinking the anxious thought. Or there is an abundant thinker that is thinking the abundant thought. Or the lackful, poverty-minded thinker that is thinking the lackful thought. The nature of the thought, right? Every thought that being engaged with comes with a thinker attached. But the thinker does not actually exist. There is no thinker. It is just you as awareness, and thoughts. There is no middle ground, which is called thinker. The sense of a thinker itself is just another thought, mind. And this is the trickiest part of self-inquiry. This is the trickiest part of just this whole spiritual journey, because the spiritual journey is essentially you learning that I am not this mind and body. I am that awareness, which is aware of this mind and body and everything else. That is basically the spiritual journey. That is basically the purpose of self-inquiry. And the biggest challenge, the biggest trick that the mind plays is it imposes on you a thinker. And if you don't actually fully investigate this sense of a thinker, this thinker goes unnoticed. And that's why Sri Ramana's teachings, Muji, right, like Rupert Spira, all the, these people are talking about self-inquiry because it is the most direct method to questioning, to investigating to whom are these thoughts actually happening? Who is the perceiver of all that is going on? Because once you start to investigate this, you start to come up on this discovery that the sense of a thinker is itself just another thought. Matter of fact, there is no me thinker that is thinking thoughts, that is controlling what to think, what not to think, that is making decisions, that is creating or not creating life. There is no separate me that is doing all of this stuff. That itself is another thought. And that itself is what we call ego. And that is why, you come across certain teachings that say ego doesn't actually exist. Because it truly doesn't. Ego appears to exist when you, awareness, falsely identify with thought. And that is the primary delusion right there. That is the divine hypnosis. As I read in one book, that is a beautiful expression, divine hypnosis. Awareness, this infinite awareness, you, me, right? Identifying as those thoughts, as this body, forgetting itself, the divine hypnosis. So now, how to actually recognize this, right? And what does this actually do once you're beginning to recognize this? It frees you up from feeling like the victim of your thoughts. It frees you up from automatically and unconsciously taking the identity of whatever thought you may be engaging with. The thought comes with the thinker attached. Every single time you engage with a thought, you automatically fall into a perspective of a thinker that is thinking that thought. But all of that is itself just a thought. So now what is required is for you to, instead of engaging with the thought again and again and again and again and again, inquire and investigate, who is this thought actually occurring to? Right? You're going to say, me, obviously. I am the one who is aware of this thought. So then who is this me? Right? Find the thinker. Find the one that is thinking. Inquire. You're not looking for a conceptual answer. You're not looking for a word to describe what me is. No. It's not so much about this practice is not about getting an answer. That's the funny part. When you ask this question, don't expect to get an answer. Don't desire an answer. It's not so much about getting the answer. It's about what actually is happening to you as you inquire. So just the practice of you inquiring is the answer. Because through it, by doing it, by practicing it consistently, your sense of self shifts from this thinker that doesn't actually exist to what you actually are. Awareness, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Truth. By doing the practice, it automatically shifts. Little by little. It's like this little lever. It's not a switch. It's just this little lever that goes from this side to this side. From delusion to truth. And this frees you up from falling into identification with thought, with the thinker, from the divine hypnosis. That is right there, self-inquiry, the purpose of self-inquiry. It is the only true freedom, right? As long as you believe that you are this thinker, this doer, this ego, no matter how much you empower yourself, you are still caught up in the web of identification. And you will one day cease to be. And so even if, it's so funny, like even if you win at the game of life, you still lose. which is why the greatest opportunity in this lifetime for anybody is to recognize the truth of who they really are, what they really are, that they are not what can be gone, but instead that through which everything is perceived, that which always is and will be. So realize through this practice, and again, watch my other self-inquiry videos. I'll link the playlist in the description box below. The playlist is called Self-Inquiry, and practice it, because through daily practice and consistent practice, it will teach you how to make this little shift or significant shift. And it's the most rewarding process. It's the most freeing process. And if you haven't yet tried it out, I greatly encourage it. Okay, and if you truly want to make this shift to higher consciousness, you can also feel free to watch my Higher Consciousness Masterclass. I'll link that down below as well. It's completely free, and in this I talk about self-recognition and self-abidance, making this shift to higher consciousness, and through that, right, creating a life of peace, joy, and freedom. So make sure to watch that as well. But let me know if you want more videos regarding self-inquiry. I know this is a very deeper topic, so a lot of the audience on this channel may not resonate with it. So I like to see who's actually really engaging with these sorts of videos and is finding them valuable. So if you want me to make more videos like this, please let me know in the comment section below. It'll greatly help me out with that. Okay, but other than that, I wish you the best of luck. Let me know if you have questions regarding this. I will do my best to get back to you. So subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.